Hi, I'm Ben Beps, and this is my Utalk language learning app review. If you're new around here, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you never miss an upload. And let's get into this detailed, in-depth review on the language learning app Utalk. Utalk is a language learning app which bases around trying to get you talking through different games style to help you learn vocab through pictures, images, and you can hear really high quality audio. Utalk is a language learning application that bases its courses around comprehension of the target language and getting you speaking, hence the name Utalk. By completely skipping grammar, this app is aiming to help you learn to speak rather than doing the boring lessons of grammar which you would have done maybe back in high school, secondary school, and getting you talking, making new friends, getting you talking to natives, and helping you to get to a very proficient speaking level in the language in a very little amount of time. Despite this being a different approach to language learning, which is actually quite effective because you do learn a lot of vocab in short time. You hear audio of what you're learning, which is really well recorded, very clear, and you can imitate the accents, the pronunciation very well from this app. But I feel that this is aimed at more beginners in a certain language or travellers rather than actual serious language learners, so I'd only recommend this app depending on who you are and why you are learning a language. For example, if I'm going to Denmark, I'd probably want to learn a bit of Danish to be able to converse with the natives there for a couple of weeks, but maybe I wouldn't be looking to learn a language to a fluent level like I am currently with French and Spanish. Therefore, I'd use Utalk because it does get me speaking quickly. It gets that vocab, that core vocab for travelling inside of my head so that I know what to say in the right situations when on holiday. But I don't think it teaches you in a way which will be very useful to proper language learners who are looking to learn to a fluency level, mainly because it doesn't teach grammar, and that is a big part of a language when you are learning it to a fluent level. And also because it does kind of focus around travel with its phrasebook style, etc. That's not to say that serious language learners can't use it as like a backup source to learn more vocab, which is what I'm doing because I'm short on vocab in, say, French, so I'm using Utalk to try and boost my vocab in French while learning all the grammar on another app such as Babbel. Utalk has a wide variety of courses ranging from obviously Spanish to Southern Saami, which I didn't actually know was a language, I just thought they spoke Finnish in Finland, but I guess they do speak a language there called Saami. I have been to Finland and I hadn't ever heard of this language, so there we go. Shows how diverse the courses are on Utalk. As well as teaching lots of different languages, they actually teach different variations of languages. For example, they have the English language, they have the British version, Scottish, Indian, Australian, American, so that you can learn different pronunciation and different accents depending on the target country where your language is spoken. For example, in Brazil, Brazilian Portuguese has some differences to European Portuguese and different accents, etc. So if you wanted to target Brazilian Portuguese, you can do that. If you want to target European Portuguese, you can do that on the app. I think this is a positive over other apps because other apps just offer one language. Some of them offer Brazilian and European Portuguese, but none of them offer different variations of English, for example, with all the different accents. So this is where Utalk would come in handy for somebody who wanted to learn a specific accent. For example, me with Argentine Spanish. I have been doing the Argentine Spanish on Utalk because I can learn more of the accents through Utalk than I can through other apps which just offer Latin American or European Spanish. One thing that impressed me about Utalk is the audio recordings. They're recorded really clearly with natives who have the perfect accent, meaning you can pick up pronunciation and the accent very quickly. You can imitate it really well and you won't have any problems of, say, a robotic voice which you have on Duolingo, for example. These are all very well recorded. They are also recorded by a man and a woman, so you can hear the different variation in pronunciation and the accent, etc. Utalk is also very engaging, meaning that you don't need a lot of motivation to come back to the app because it is like a game. It's in a game style, but at the same time it's really professionally done and it is really effective at the same time, which gives it an advantage over Ling, which I've also recorded a review for. I don't know if it's on YouTube yet. Ling, I found, although having like a game style, it wasn't that effective, whereas Utalk is very effective. And it also gives you that motivation to come back and do the next topic the next day because of that game style, but also it being effective at the same time. And when you are learning effectively, that gives the learner a lot of motivation to carry on learning. Also, the app can be used out and about. You can download each course so that whenever you're on the go, you can just quickly do a topic on Utalk, for example. I do it on a train into college every day, so you don't need to worry about using up data when you're traveling. And if you want to go on holiday where you don't have Wi-Fi, don't have data or whatever, you can still learn the language of the country that you're in. One negative about Utalk, which it's not something a lot of apps have, but it's something I would add to any app, but Utalk in particular because of the bright colours in the background. I think they should add a dark mode because if you want to use it in low light or just before going to bed, it could be straining on your eyes. And yeah, just having a dark mode which kind of darkens all the tones, maybe a black greyish background, and then just the pictures on front with low brightness. That would be quite useful, so that you won't be straining your eyes in a hotel room in Denmark before you go to bed. Also, despite their non-grammar focus, I would suggest adding just like one section of grammar at the end of each language course. So say if you complete all the topics you can, just like learn a bit of basic grammar, like maybe a dictionary of grammar or something. Because even in phrasebooks, I get that Utalk is going for like a phrasebook style, but even in phrasebooks they do have just a tiny bit of grammar either at the start of each language course or at the end. So I think that would be useful to Utalk. It would maybe attract those learners who wouldn't normally use Utalk because they think they're more advanced, etc. Maybe that would give them a bonus to come to Utalk, learn all the vocab in it, and then just review a bit of grammar at the end. Because then they feel like they are getting a little bit more out of the app. And also, you do have to learn grammar eventually. If Utalk is trying to get you to a speaking level, one thing I find is that you can't speak very well if you don't know the past and future tenses. So maybe if it could just go over that a little bit, just so that you know what you're doing in those tenses, maybe at the end of each language course, so then you can use the vocab you've already learned in the different tenses. That would be quite useful. But I do get what they're going for with just a vocab, getting you to speak rather than the grammar lessons. I just think it would be useful to have just a little bit of grammar at the end of each course. I get that intertwining it into the games and into each topic, into the lessons, that would make it more like a school style, which would make it boring, and they're going for more like a game version. But that doesn't mean that they can't have it at all in the app at the end of each course, for example. So I think they could just add a little bit of grammar on it. So say if you're getting advanced in each language, then you can go on to that. Apart from that, I don't think I have any more negatives, to be honest. I think Utalk is a very good app for what it aims to get you to, a speaking level. You learn a lot of vocab, you learn a lot of different phrases, which maybe you don't have in other apps. Different topics, for example, commentary I saw was one of the topics. And it does have a lot of features which other apps don't have, such as different accents for each of the languages which you're learning. So for this reason, I would suggest getting Utalk if you want to get to a speaking level, if you want to brush up on vocab. Overall, I would rate Utalk probably a 4 stars out of 5. I wouldn't quite give it 5 stars because I feel there are other apps which do cover everything in the language, which get you to a speaking level quicker, which cover the grammar and everything a bit more in-depth and more effectively than Utalk. But that's not to say Utalk is a bad app at all, so 4 out of 5 stars for Utalk. If you have enjoyed this review and you found it useful, make sure to leave a like, because that would be really appreciated. I've put a lot of time into making this video. Subscribe if you are new around here. We are on the way to 500 subscribers as I talk, and turn on post notifications so you never miss an upload, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.
La más loca, la que más atreve, la envidia de todas las mujeres. Está soltera y también como lo mueve. Esa cosa sí que tiene poderes.
Mami tiene lo que ninguna chica tiene. Tanto flow que no se compara en niveles. Mi modelo de ti tengo 10.000 carteles. Eres icy, espero que no me